This story begins with a lie the world believed and ends with a truth that will shock you. A millionaire's daughter, a maid's courage, and a secret that changed everything. Watch till the end, and if you want more stories that open hearts and minds, hit the subscribe button right now. Everyone in the city knew about the grand mansion that stood at the edge of the skyline, a fortress of wealth and power, built by the man whose signature could change the future of companies overnight. He was Mr. Alden, a millionaire who owned half the skyscrapers in town, a man so powerful that even his whispers could shake the stock market. Yet inside those iron gates and marble halls, there lived not joy, but silence, a silence born from heartbreak. His only daughter, Lily, had been believed blind since she was a toddler. Doctors had confirmed it, servants had accepted it, and Mr. Alden himself carried the guilt like a chain around his soul, blaming himself for not being there when she was born. For years he filled the mansion with golden chandeliers, priceless art, and polished floors, yet none of it brought warmth. Lily walked the halls in perfect gowns, clutching toys she could not see, while her father drowned himself in board meetings and endless calls. But there was one thing no one could deny. The story felt unfinished. And just when the world had given up hope, a young black maid named Clara entered those cold halls, carrying nothing but courage and compassion in her heart. From the very first day, she noticed something no one else had, something that whispered of a truth long buried. What she saw would change everything. Before we go deeper, let me ask you, do you believe one person's kindness can uncover miracles? If you do, drop a comment below with, "Yes, I believe," and don't forget to like this video. Your single click helps us spread more stories of hope and second chances to the world. Now let me take you inside the mansion where a secret was waiting to be revealed. The mansion was filled with quiet movements of servants who drifted like shadows, their footsteps soft against the endless marble floors. But among all that silence, one small figure stood out, Lily. She was always dressed in the most perfect gowns, chosen by designers her father paid without a second thought. That afternoon, she wore a red dress that draped gently around her, a stuffed bear held tightly against her chest. To anyone watching, she looked like the very picture of a lonely princess trapped in a tower of gold. To her father, she was a constant reminder of a pain he could never heal. For years, Mr. Alden believed the doctors who said Lily could not see. He blamed himself for the life she had been given, for the light she would never know. And so he kept his distance, unable to face his guilt, burying himself in contracts and investments. But Clara, the maid who had grown up with nothing but resilience in her pockets, looked at Lily differently. From the first moment she met her, Clara refused to see her as a fragile patient. She spoke to her with warmth, laughed with her, and treated her as a child who deserved friendship rather than pity. And then it happened. Clara noticed something small, so small that others would have dismissed it. When she entered the playroom with a tray in hand, Lily's head turned ever so slightly toward her before she made a single sound. Clara froze. Was it possible? Could Lily sense her presence not by hearing but by sight? That one movement planted a seed of suspicion in Clara's mind, a seed that would grow into courage and truth. But for now, it remained her secret. My friend, if you've ever noticed something no one else believed, write "I understand" in the comments. And if this story has already captured your heart, press the like button so more people can join us on this journey. Your support means more than you know. Days in the mansion followed a rhythm of silence, with servants polishing silver, trimming gardens, and preparing meals for a family that rarely smiled. But Clara's eyes never left Lily. She began to notice patterns that others ignored, details that spoke louder than any medical report. One morning, as she arranged fresh flowers in a tall crystal vase, Clara saw Lily's gaze linger on the bright petals for just a second too long. The colors seemed to catch her eyes, though no one else in the room noticed. Another time, Clara accidentally dropped a shimmering hairpin on the carpet, its silver glint dancing under the sunlight. To her astonishment, Lily's eyes flickered, down toward it as though following its sparkle. Clara's heart raced. This was no accident. These were not random coincidences. Something inside her told her that the truth was hiding in plain sight, and Lily's world was not as dark as everyone believed. Still, Fear weighed heavily on Clara's chest. Who was she to question doctors? She was just a maid, earning barely enough to send a little money home to her siblings. If she dared to speak and was proven wrong, she could lose everything. Yet the whispers of truth refused to be silenced. Every small movement, every flicker of Lily's eyes deepened her suspicion. Clara began to test her theory quietly, placing toys in different spots and watching how Lily's hands reached toward the one that caught a sunbeam. Each moment brought new proof, yet also new fear. The secret was growing, waiting for the day it would no longer stay hidden. And so I ask you, dear listener, if you were Clara, would you risk everything to speak the truth? Comment yes or no, and let us know what you would do. And if your heart is racing with curiosity already, press the like button now. Your support tells us to keep sharing these stories that reveal the power of courage and kindness. Clara's quiet suspicion began to grow into a dangerous secret, one that weighed heavily on her every passing day. The mansion seemed even larger now, its halls echoing with silence that pressed down on her shoulders. She could no longer look at Lily without wondering how much truth was hidden behind those innocent eyes. At night, when the other servants rested, Clara sat awake in her small quarters, thinking of her younger siblings who depended on her wages. If she spoke out and angered Mr. Alden, she could lose her job and everything she worked for. But if she stayed silent, she would be denying Lily a chance to live in light instead of shadows. Fear and courage wrestled inside her, and neither gave way. Clara continued her quiet tests. She would dust the shelves, holding a small flashlight in her hand, pretending to clean, while secretly watching Lily's pupils narrow at the sudden brightness. She would shuffle Lily's toys across the rug, noticing how her tiny fingers stretched toward the ones that gleamed under a sunbeam. Each time her suspicion grew stronger, her heart pounded harder, torn between truth and fear. She whispered to herself, "What if I'm wrong? What if this costs me everything?" Yet another voice, soft but persistent, replied, "What if you're right?" This was not just about a job anymore, it was about a little girl's future. Clara knew secrets like this could not stay buried forever. One day, something would happen that forced the truth into the open, whether she was ready or not, and that day was approaching faster than she imagined. Before we continue, I want to ask you, have you ever carried a secret so heavy that it kept you awake at night? If yes, type "I know the feeling" in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the like button right now so we can continue bringing you more stories that speak to the heart. The day that changed everything began like any other, with the mansion's tall windows bathing the halls in golden sunlight. Clara had finished her morning chores and entered the playroom, where Lily sat quietly in her favorite red dress, her stuffed bear nestled safely in her arms. The light streaming through the windows seemed to make the room glow, dust particles floating like tiny stars in the air. Clara's heart beat faster, for she had decided this would be the day she sought undeniable proof. She carried a small torch with her, pretending it was part of her cleaning tools. Kneeling gently before Lily, she shone the light softly toward her eyes, careful not to frighten her. And there it was, a flicker of life, a reflection, a spark that could not be denied. Lily's pupils shifted, narrowing as the light touched them. Clara's breath caught in her throat, her hands trembling so badly she almost dropped the torch. She whispered in her heart, "This child isn't blind. She has been living inside a story that was never hers." But just as Clara's soul filled with awe, the sound of footsteps echoed across the polished marble floor. Her stomach dropped. She turned, and there he was, Mr. Alden, standing in the doorway in his sharp suit, his expression unreadable. His eyes darted from the maid holding the torch to his daughter sitting quietly, her gaze following the beam of light. For a moment, the world seemed to freeze. Clara's heart raced. Was this the end of everything? Had she just destroyed her life with one act of courage? Dear listener, pause for a moment. What would you do if you were caught like Clara? Would you confess, or would you hide the truth? Share your answer in the comments, and if this chapter made your pulse quicken, hit the like button so others can feel the same suspense you do right now. Mr. Alden stood frozen in the doorway, his powerful presence filling the playroom like a storm waiting to break. His sharp suit, his stern expression, and his weary eyes locked on the sight before him. The maid holding a torch, his daughter's innocent face turned toward its glow. For years he had believed the doctors, accepted their verdict without question, and built walls of guilt around his heart. But what he saw now threatened to tear those walls apart. Clara's voice trembled as she tried to explain, her words stumbling over fear. She spoke of the small signs she had noticed, the moments others ignored, the quiet tests she had dared to make while doing her duties. She confessed that she had been terrified to say anything, afraid of losing her job, yet she could not ignore the truth anymore. But before Mr. Alden could respond, Lily shattered the silence herself. With a trembling smile, she reached out toward the torchlight and whispered, "It's so bright." The words echoed in the vast room, striking Mr. Alden like thunder. His chest tightened, his knees weakened, and for the first time in his life, the mighty millionaire felt powerless. He staggered back, his mind spinning. Could it be true? Had his daughter been living all these years not in total darkness, but in a fragile light no one believed she had? The doctors, the servants, even himself. How could they all have been wrong? Clara's eyes filled with both fear and determination. She stood firm, her voice steadier now as she repeated, "Sir, your daughter can see. Not perfectly, but she can see." My friend, imagine being in Mr. Alden's place, hearing those words after years of sorrow. Would you believe it? Or would you cling to what the world told you? Write your answer below in the comments. And if this moment sent chills down your spine, press the like button now so more hearts can feel the weight of this revelation. The room felt heavy, as if the very air was holding its breath. Mr. Alden's eyes remained fixed on his daughter, watching her tiny hands stretch toward the light, her innocent smile glowing with wonder. His heart pounded louder than any boardroom applause he had ever received, louder than the sound of fortune itself. For years, he had buried himself in contracts, deals, and skyscrapers, telling himself it was for her future. But what future had he given her? A cold mansion filled with silence and shadows, a father who kept his distance out of guilt, and a childhood built on a story that was never hers. His eyes burned, though he fought the tears. Memories of sleepless nights came rushing back, sitting in sterile hospital rooms while doctors shook their heads, blaming fate while he blamed himself. Now, in one moment, that belief shattered. His daughter had not been blind to the world, only to his love. Slowly, Mr. Alden stepped into the room, his knees almost buckling beneath the weight of truth. He knelt before Lily, something he had not done since she was small, and whispered her name as if speaking it for the first time. Lily giggled softly, pointing at the torchlight again, repeating, "So bright." That sound pierced his soul deeper than any accusation. Clara stood silently, her hands trembling, wondering whether her courage had saved or doomed her. But as Mr. Alden looked at her, his expression softened. He finally understood. It wasn't the doctors, nor his fortune, nor his power that had given him back his daughter. It was the compassion of a maid who chose to see what others ignored. Dear listener, pause and ask yourself this. If someone's kindness changed your life, would you ever forget them? Share your answer in the comments, and if this chapter touched your heart, hit the like button now so we can bring more stories of love and courage to the world. What followed was nothing short of a storm. Within days, Mr. Alden summoned new specialists, not the same ones who had long dismissed Lily, but fresh voices willing to see with new eyes. Tests were performed, lights were shown, patterns were drawn on charts, and slowly the truth began to unfold. Lily was not blind. She suffered from a rare condition that limited her vision, but did not steal it completely. With therapy, patience, and the right guidance, her sight could grow stronger. The words felt like sunlight after years of storm clouds. For Mr. Alden, it was both joy and torment. He rejoiced that his daughter had a future brighter than he ever believed, yet he wept in private chambers, tormented by the thought that he had wasted years locked in sorrow, too blind himself to notice what his little girl had been trying to show all along. Clara remained humble through it all, standing quietly at the edges of each medical visit, her heart swelling with relief every time Lily followed a color or pointed at a shape. She knew her risk had been worth it. But still, she feared that at any moment Mr. Alden might send her away, her role in this miracle forgotten. Instead, he astonished her. He began to see Clara not as a servant, but as the savior of his daughter's future. He offered her wealth, rewards, promotions, anything she desired. But Clara asked for nothing except this: that Lily be given love, attention, and the time her soul had always craved. And that request touched him more deeply than any riches ever could. My friend, think of it. If you had the chance to ask for anything, would you choose wealth or would you choose love? Type your answer below in the comments, and if this revelation filled you with hope, press the like button now so more people can feel the power of truth and kindness. Weeks turned into months, and the mansion that once echoed with silence now filled with laughter, music, and the sound of discovery. Lily's progress bloomed like spring after a long winter. She began to notice the colors around her, the soft blue of her teddy bear, the deep green of the garden leaves, the shining gold of sunlight dancing across the polished floors. Each new discovery was a miracle, each giggle a symphony that healed, the years of sorrow buried in her father's heart. Mr. Alden transformed alongside her. No longer did he hide behind boardroom walls and endless meetings. Instead, he knelt on the playroom rugs, building castles of blocks with his daughter, guiding her hands as she painted messy rainbows, laughing when she pointed out the sparkle of his cufflinks. For the first time in years, he felt like a father, not a man chained to guilt. And through it all, Clara remained by Lily's side, her bond with the little girl stronger than ever. To Lily, Clara was no longer just a maid. She was a sister, a guardian angel, the one who believed when no one else did. To Mr. Alden, she was a living reminder that the greatest treasures in life were not found in vaults or contracts, but in courage, compassion, and the simple act of paying attention. Neighbors began to whisper about the change, and soon the story of Lily spread across the city, giving hope to those who had forgotten to believe in miracles. Dear friend, if this chapter brought warmth to your heart, let us know in the comments by writing, "Hope is real." And don't forget to press the like button so together we can spread this story of light and love to many more people who need it. The mansion at the edge of the city was no longer a monument of cold wealth. It had become a home, alive with warmth and filled with the glow of love. The marble floors that once echoed with emptiness now carried the patter of Lily's footsteps as she ran to show her father the colors she had discovered. The golden chandeliers no longer felt like lonely trophies but like stars shining above a family reborn. Mr. Alden no longer measured his worth by the skyscrapers he owned or the contracts he signed. His true wealth was found in the sparkle of his daughter's eyes and the laughter that filled his once silent halls. And always, beside Lily, stood Clara, the maid who became much more. She was the quiet hero, the woman who dared to see what no one else believed. To Lily, she was not just a maid, but a sister she never had, a protector, a light bringer. To Mr. Alden, she was proof that the greatest riches are not measured in gold or power, but in kindness and courage. The story of Lily spread far beyond the mansion. People whispered it in markets, repeated it in coffee shops, and shared it as a tale of hope. They spoke not of the millionaire's fortune, but of the maid's heart, the heart that gave a little girl her sight and gave a father his second chance at love. And so the mansion stood, not as a symbol of wealth alone, but as a reminder that even in the grandest halls, kindness is the richest gift of all. My friend, if this story touched your soul, I invite you to write in the comments, "Kindness is the greatest treasure." And if you believe the world needs more stories like this one, press the like button and subscribe right now. Together, we can fill the world with hope, one story at a time.